Arsenal are approaching one of their biggest tests of the season. It's Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool at Anfield, but who is going to be available? Well, today we're going to find out what's happening with William Saliba, as well as discussing reports on a potential move for Alexis Mac Allister. We'll also find out about Arsenal's latest target from Brazil and break down how Mikel Arteta will line up for the massive game at Anfield. Yo, what is going on, guys? My name is Babs14. Welcome back to your boys channel. I hope you guys are doing sensational and definitely a bit nervous ahead of our massive game against Liverpool. But as per, smash a like on the video if you enjoy, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and help your boy on his road to 200,000 subscribers. But starting off with Arsenal's future stars. Arsenal have a Brazilian star boy who they signed in the summer. His name is of course Marquinhos. He scored a goal in the Europa League. Well, he's currently on loan to Norwich down there in the Championship, and we have to wish him a happy belated birthday as he's turned 20. He started off in electrifying form with 1 goal and 1 assist on his debut, but nothing since then, and even a red card in his third game against Huddersfield, which was later rescinded. But ultimately what you're seeing here is the inconsistencies to be expected of a young player. He's trying to find his feet in a division which can be very physically demanding. Norwich themselves are fighting for promotion, and on Marquinhos, their manager David Wagner says he's a very happy boy. He always has a smile on his face. He settled into the group very well. You can feel it, you can see it. You can see that his curve is going upwards for sure. Marquinhos for me definitely has a future in this Arsenal team and has all of the fundamentals that Mikel Arteta can work with. The glimpses that we saw of Marquinhos earlier in the season, left-footed and able to cut inside. Despite being so young, he has a lot of power, and for the fee that Arsenal paid of just £3 million, this could be a future bargain. But Arsenal are a team entering different phases, and I also believe for Marquinhos, even after his loan this year, maybe another one back in the Championship, somewhere in Europe, or maybe even the Premier League, will be the best possible step for his development. Arsenal have a history of signing decent forwards out of Brazil. The prime example, of course, Gabriel Martinelli. What they have in Edu Gaspar is a former Brazil director. This guy has all the knowledge, the contacts and the networks to make transfers happen, and it looks like Arsenal have a new target out of Brazil. Flamengo's wonder kid Matias Gonçalves. According to George Nicola, Arsenal want to take Flamengo midfielder Matias Gonçalves to England as soon as the player becomes 18, and an offer is coming in the following days for the 17-year-old. He is still so young, but of course in Brazil, these guys know how to produce talents. We've seen Gabriel Martinelli, we've seen Gabriel Magalhaes and Gabriel Jesus. We have a core of settled Brazilian players, and that helps in terms of signings. A left-footed right winger who's pacey and has fantastic dribbling. This guy is said to be a very technical player, and a lot of the experts in Brazil believe this guy has a lot of potential to be one of the next future stars. And Arsenal only really have Bukayo Saka as that left-footed right wing profile. We might have Marquinhos, but Arsenal always look into the future. And when you have Edu Gaspar, when you have the contacts that he has, with the amount of talent that comes out of Brazil, I definitely feel Arsenal can do better in terms of maximizing the Brazilian market. But in terms of wide forwards, we also can't forget Reiss Nelson, who Mikel Arteta is a massive fan of. And that was to be heard again in Arteta's recent press conference, when the reporter said you have 4 attackers in good form: Saka, Martinelli, Jesus and Trossard. Arteta was quick to point out, and Reiss. This guy has been Arsenal's super sub, 5 goal contributions. That, my friend, is what you need for a title winning team. Going into the future, I can definitely see some sort of explosion, as long as he can stay fit and available, because that's my only concern. For Arsenal, he's played on the left and right hand side, but it feels like he's more natural off the left. But in terms of that backup for Bukayo Saka, Arsenal are on the market for a new wide forward, but what is our priority? Central midfield, maybe centre forward, a right back as well. We might return to the Champions League, but in terms of fund allocation, it seems like Arsenal have different priorities. Moving on to Eintracht Frankfurt's Djibril Sow, as according to reports in the UK, Arsenal are stepping up their efforts to sign the Eintracht Frankfurt midfielder. 26 years of age, a Swiss international who played alongside Granit Xhaka at the World Cup, a right-footed midfielder that plays a lot of his minutes on the left-hand side. He's out of contract in 2024, and according to Florian Plettenberg, the Frankfurt midfielder Djibril Sow wants to leave this summer and would be available for £13 million. For that sort of price tag, this guy becomes an opportunity, very affordable, and in terms of qualities, his passing numbers are decent. He wins nearly 60% of his ground balls, and he also seems to be a decent ball carrier, completing nearly 70% of his dribbles. It's something that we see from Thomas Partey, that ball carrying ability. Djibril Sow strikes me as a decent player who could be a decent backup signing. But as we enter phase 4 of Mikel Arteta's plan, return to the Champions League, Arsenal's first team now is very complete, and it's so competitive that whoever we sign now needs to either have fantastic potential or be an instant level raiser. Talking of midfielders, what about Amadou Onana of Everton? Well, according to reliable reports out of Belgium, Arsenal are really keen to sign Amadou Onana after a serious attempt was not completed in January. Arsenal Arsenal have liked Onana for a long time, even before he signed for Everton and he was at Lille. He was linked to a transfer to the Emirates Stadium, and having seen him play against Arsenal, especially at Goodison Park, we saw a player that had so much to offer. At 6'4", he's an absolute powerhouse. He's got a mix of an elite physical profile as well as fantastic technical abilities, even though Everton are struggling. They're fighting relegation. If they were to go down, this guy would definitely be available and for a cheaper price tag. Mikel Arteta is trying to build a team that can intimidate, and when you have the likes of Partey and Xhaka, the physical profiles, and you were to add a unit like Onana, with Saliba and Gabriel behind, Arsenal could be a team full of bullies. But in terms of midfield targets, the main one of course is Declan Rice, who is of course a number 6, and that's where he excels the most. But according to Simon Collins, Arsenal are attracted to Rice as he could operate at the base of midfield or as a number 8. Rice's character also suits the culture Arteta has built and comes with glowing references to his work ethic and leadership qualities, even though I think his future is as a number 6. Rice is also a fantastic ball carrier, and his last game for West Ham summarises it. Even though West Ham lost 5-1, this guy got a 7.2 rating, and have a look at the stats there: 84 touches, 56 accurate passes, 4 out of 5 long balls, 5 out of 5 dribbles, and 6 out of 9 ground balls. When I see the numbers there and the ability of Rice to occupy the left half space, this guy could be a bit of a 2-in-1 signing, not just to compete with Thomas Partey, but maybe even Granit Xhaka. When you see the goals that he scored for West Ham over the past few years, the long shots and the long busting runs, maybe Mikel Arteta can unlock Rice's attacking potential. The reports also claim the Gunners wanted to sign a midfielder in January and Rice was considered, but West Ham insisted he was not for sale at any price and he would have been reluctant to leave the club in the middle of a relegation battle. And they remain in that battle, currently 15th place but only 2 points off 19th. West Ham are serious relegation candidates, and if West Ham were to go down, their £80 million price tag is only going to get lower with the amount of rumours and the reported confidence. This seems a bit like last season and Gabriel Jesus, a transfer that even before it happened, everyone kind of expected. But Arsenal also have a target in Croatia, as according to reports in the UK, Arsenal are tracking Dinamo Zagreb midfielder Martin Baturina, hailed as the next Luka Modric. Mikel Arteta is a keen admirer of the 20-year-old and sees him as the perfect cover for Granit Xhaka, with Zagreb likely to demand around £15 million. Any midfielder that comes out of Croatia is always seen as the next Luka Modric, but Baturina does have a lot of potential. This has been his breakthrough year at Zagreb. 5 goals and 6 assists. He's also made 5 appearances in the Champions League. And what you can see straight away in terms of his heat map, this guy is equally spaced in terms of left and right half spaces. Even though it's very affordable, Arsenal might want a more experienced player and someone that understands the Premier League. And that's where you have Brighton's Alexis Mac Allister. According to reliable reports out of Argentina, Arsenal, Manchester United and Liverpool all have serious interest in signing Brighton midfielder Alexis Mac Allister in the upcoming summer transfer window, with 2 of those clubs already negotiating for a move. This is a tier 1 source out of Argentina confirming that Arsenal have interest, they like the player and may even be negotiating. You guys already know I love the profile of his player, and since we last spoke about him, he scored a few goals. He now has 8 goals in the Premier League this season, and having won the World Cup at Argentina, this guy continues to shine. Per game he's averaging 1.2 dribbles, 45 passes, and even an impressive 2.2 tackles. A lot of Arsenal fans are warming to the idea of Alexis Mac Allister, but also be very careful. The competition is fierce, and when you've also got Moses Caicedo linked with a move away, Brighton won't want to lose 2 of their top midfielders in the same window. These guys are pushing for European football, some would even say the Champions League. But having signed Ben White and having signed Leandro Trossard, Arsenal do have a successful relationship which could give us the upper hand in the race. Now let's move on to Liverpool versus Arsenal. A massive game, I should say gargantuan game at Anfield, one of the biggest tests of the season of Arsenal's title credentials. If Arsenal are going to win the league, this game's going to be decisive. And Arsenal are set to play in their away black kit, and they go into it with decent form. 7 league wins in a row, the most under Mikel Arteta's reign. And then you have Liverpool, who after beating Man United 7-0, have gone on to lose 3 out of 4 games. But that has all been away from home, and at Anfield, these guys are a different animal. They just beat Man United there 7-0. They've beaten Man City there as well. And Arsenal haven't won there since 2012, when Mikel Arteta was still on the Arsenal midfield. They might be 8th place in the league, but they still have dangerous players. One being Mo Salah, 12 goals and 7 assists. Liverpool's defence is definitely shaky, but going forwards, these guys are as menacing as ever. 2nd in the Premier League in terms of big chances created, but they are up against the best away team in the league with the best defensive record. But who's going to be available? For Liverpool, they can welcome back Thiago Alcantara. Luis Diaz is still a bit of a doubt, but the big news is their key attackers Mo Salah and Diogo Jota were not seen in recent training. And then you have Arsenal. Tomiyasu out until the end of the season, El Neni soon to return. Likewise Eddie Nketiah. But what is happening with William Saliba? Well, alongside Nketiah, he was not spotted in the recent Arsenal training session. But as Mikel Arteta has previously said, we are very hopeful to see him again before the end of the season. We are managing him. The reports are very contrasting. Some people believe he's going to be out, others believe he might have a chance. According to Simon Collins, Saliba is a serious doubt for the game on Sunday, with the final decision taken closer to the game. Arsenal are assessing Saliba on a day-by-day basis and trying to manage the injury as much as possible. And Arsenal are being very secretive. There's been no photos released of our training sessions. And Mikel Arteta is being very coy. And he says we have some hope with one of them. Tomorrow maybe he's able to train. We will have to see. And I'm not going to tell you who. Now Saliba and Nketiah were the two not seen in training, but with a massive grin on his face. Him being secretive. We've seen Mikel Arteta do this in the past. The likes of Trossard and Jesus were out for the game against Fulham. And then out of nowhere they were seen in the matchday squad. There is no guarantees that Saliba is going to be available. But if Mikel Arteta is playing mind games and Saliba is available, it's going to be gargantuan. As there's no player in the entire Premier League that has been dribbled past on the fewest occasions as William Saliba. If he's available, it could be a game changer, but how exactly is Mikel Arteta going to line up? Well, I've gone for Ramsdale on goal, and a back four of Ben White, a hopefully available Saliba, Gabriel Zinchenko, a midfield three of Thomas Partey, Martin Odegaard and Granit Xhaka, and a front three of Martinelli, Jesus and Bukayo Saka. There are some massive dilemmas there. If Saliba isn't available, Rob Holding's going to start, but in terms of that front three, you'd expect for Martinelli and Saka to both start. But in terms of Jesus and Trossard, which one out of the two gets the nod? Both of these players have been in fantastic form, with Trossard averaging a key pass for Arsenal every 36.3 minutes. With 7 assists in 2023, that's the most out of any player in the Premier League. But then you also have the returning Gabriel Jesus, who's been on fire, and he has provided a goal or assist every 111 minutes in the Premier League this season. 2 goals in his last game against Leeds, and as strikers often operate, when it rains it pours. Mikel Arteta has a massive selection headache. Trossard's not only in fantastic form, but also has a history of scoring a hat-trick against Liverpool earlier in the season. But that original front three of Saka, Martinelli, Jesus is something that we've not seen since November. Trossard or Jesus? There are no wrong answers, but comment down below who you'd start. In this game, a key player for me is going to be Alexander Zinchenko, who has committed a foul every 583 minutes on average this season, the least often of any outfield player. And he's got that calmness and composure. He's been to Anfield before Man City and played in massive title games. And playing as the inverted fullback, basically a midfielder, he will help Arsenal assert control, but that will leave space behind him, and if you have a fully fit Mo Salah, Arsenal will need to be careful. But in terms of tactically, it's all for me about the midfield. Even though Liverpool might have the returning Thiago, Fabinho is still a massive weak point. And when you have the false line like Arsenal have in Gabriel Jesus or Trossard dropping into midfield, and the quality of Odegaard, Partey and Xhaka, Arsenal will be able to overload. But Arsenal fans will have PTSD, especially at Anfield last year, the year before that. But this isn't the same Liverpool. Their pressing isn't as good, they are as intense. And in their last league game against 11th place Chelsea, these guys were still getting ripped apart. Their defence is there for the taking, and ultimately, Arsenal are the better team. But this game is more about the mindset. And as Jamie Carragher says, Arsenal are a team that Liverpool used to be. They are young, fast, energetic, thrilling, hungry, dynamic, and on the threshold of ending a long wait of a Premier League title. Everything about them is exciting. What are your thoughts going into this game, and what are your matchday predictions? Moving on to the other Arsenal news today, and starting off with an insight into the Arsenal dressing room. According to Simon Collins, Arsenal always travel up the day before the game and stay overnight at a hotel, and a key part of their preparations is having a meal as a group the night before, as Mikel Arteta likes the players and staff to rotate who they sit with for meals, and now they do so naturally. On pre-season tour in the USA this summer, at a staff meal, one player was sat next to a member of the security team. This is what Mikel Arteta is all about. He is not just an elite tactician on the pitch, but off the pitch this guy has changed the culture of the Arsenal team. Gone of the days of a toxic dressing room. This team is united, with 29 games played and 72 points. That's 22 points ahead of Spurs. Arsenal are now 2 wins away from mathematically finishing above. Last year they might have mattered, this year we don't even care because we've got bigger ambitions. Fighting for the title, Arsenal have been so consistent, and here you can see that Arsenal have been top of the league for all but 3 weeks of the season. But all that matters is where we are after game 38, and we up against a bit of a machine in Man City, and they have a returning robot, as Erling Haaland has returned to full training, and they have got a massive game this weekend against bottom of the table Southampton away from home. It's a game that I expect for them to win, but over the past few years they have struggled at St Mary's. But Arsenal's focus is all on Anfield, and as Jurgen Klopp says, Arsenal is a different team. Mikel is building his team for a few years now. Obviously the outcome is pretty impressive. The way they play is fun to watch, to be honest. It's super lively, really good football, top players on the pitch, and good match plans. But it's at Anfield. And let's be quite honest, at Anfield Arsenal don't have the best of records. In our last 10 league games there, we have won 1, drawn 2, and lost 7. And this game will be far from easy. We have to show respect, but at the same time, we are going in with a lot of confidence. But the best away form in the league by a mile. 14 games, 11 wins, and 8 clean sheets. It's worth pointing out for the last 8 seasons in a row, the team with the best away record has gone on to win the Premier League title. If Arsenal can pass this massive test, send a statement to the rest of the league. According to Gary Neville, if Arsenal go to Anfield and win, I would definitely say it will be their title. But that is the video there and there, so hopefully you guys have enjoyed. If you have, don't forget to smash a like and also subscribe to the channel if you are new. If you want to follow your boy on all of his social medias, then the links are down below in the description. But that was all of today's latest Arsenal news, and as a massive test is around the corner, it's one that Arsenal can pass. Will they? We're gonna find out. Believe as always, and I'll see you next time. Take care, in a bit.